Hello, good morning. Thank you for joining us today. I'm Donna Hokiro, President of the United Steelworkers Union, Local 1944. We are a national local representing 7,000 Telus workers across the country. We have been in collective bargaining with Telus for over a year and are now in conciliation, fighting to get a fair deal for our members. Since 2005, Telus has been trying to silence the union, trying to stop us from speaking out against their offshoring policies by imposing a grotesque memorandum of agreement on us, simply to protect their brand image. Our members have had enough, and they want their voices back. I'm here to say that I am not renewing that letter in this round of collective bargaining. We will not let Telus continue to divide the workforce and drive down wages and working conditions as we have seen over the last 2 decades. I am joined this week by several Telus workers who are proud members of our local union. And this week, as a part of a series of actions taking place across the country, we are here in Ottawa, meeting with members of Parliament to discuss the Canadian telecom industry and the steps that this government must take to keep these Canadian jobs in Canada. We need the government to step in and stop hundreds of Telus jobs from being shipped overseas every year. Through its Telus International operations, Telus has, for the past 2 decades, offshored thousands of middle-class Canadian jobs to low-wage countries like Guatemala, the Philippines, Romania, India, and many more countries. In fact, over the past 20 years, Telus has shipped over 11,000 unionized Canadian jobs overseas and increased its offshore workforce by over 70,000. This stands in stark contrast to the recent moves of companies like Rogers, who have proudly and rightfully so reshored call center jobs to Canada. Our union is deeply concerned with offshoring policies and the growth of Telus International because it is eroding Canadian jobs. As Canadians, we must do more to keep jobs in Canada. And that is why we are here calling on government to enact policies that will keep Canadians answering calls from customers in their communities. All levels of government can play a critical role in keeping jobs in Canada. The government can market and promote Canadian products and offer tax incentives and other inducements. And they can do more when it comes to awarding contracts to Telus. The federal government needs to grow Canadian jobs in the technology and telecommunications sectors by ensuring government procurement of goods and services is a top priority, to consider suppliers providing and growing jobs in Canada. The government needs to update procurement policies for the millions of dollars worth of federal government telecom contracts it's sending to Telus to stop their anti-Canadian antics, as this is unpatriotic. We are also here this week to call on government to pass anti-scab legislation to ensure workers can fight for their jobs and their rights. There is no reason to drag their feet on this legislation any longer. It needs to be passed now. The recent government commitment to ban replacement workers in the event of labor disputes in federally regulated workplaces is encouraging. But the current plan to wait as much as 12 months before tabling legislation is unnecessarily long. Our union has advocated federally and provincially for years for anti-scab laws. In BC and Quebec, where laws banning replacement workers exist, there has been a reduction in days lost due to strikes or lockouts, an increase to workplace stability, and better working and living conditions. And this is good for employers, workers, and the economy. But even in those provinces, workers in federally regulated industries like telecommunications cannot benefit from those same protections. We are calling for quick tabling, passage, and implementation of anti-scab legislation to protect workers. As I said earlier, members have had enough, and we are taking a number of actions to demand better from Telus. A number of actions. Last week, our members leafleted Telus stores in Vancouver, Burnaby, and Calgary, bringing awareness of their bargaining and the work members do here in Canada. Members also leafleted the Canadian Telecom Summit in Toronto to highlight the need to keep telecom jobs in Canada. The USW International Batlight also prominently projected our message at the Canadian Telecom Summit and on landmarks in the Greater Toronto area, including the Rogers Centre and the CN Tower, as well as Telus Towers in downtown Toronto and Scarborough. I'm proud of the work our members do across the country and in communities in Canada. And you should be too. I strongly believe that we can secure a fair contract, but it's really up to Telus to remove their unfair concessionary demands from the bargaining table. At a time when the company is pulling in massive record profits, Telus can afford to give their workers more job security and increase their wages. We already have a 97% support for a strike mandate. If Telus is not going to move off of their concessions and start hearing our concerns, we're going to go out to the membership to escalate our actions. We don't want to go down that path. It's not desirable, but we're not going to be intimidated. As our members say, rise up, fight back. So with that, I thank you for your attendance here today, and I'll take any questions if you have any.
And we'll check online. If you do have a question, you may use the raise hand function now. And we do have a question from Xiaoli Li. Go ahead.
Hi, sorry, I'm going to mute myself. I'm getting some feedback. When you say you're prepared to escalate your actions, are you talking about the possibility of industrial action?
Industrial action?
Strike.
Yes, of course. I mean, like I said in my remarks, it's not desirable. It's certainly not anything anybody ever wants to do. Everybody enjoys going to work and collecting a paycheck at the end of the day. But also, people do not enjoy being left behind. And we hear that at everybody's kitchen tables all of the time. When people come out to unit meetings, all of our leadership attends. We have regular meetings with our members, and they're feeling very left behind. And we hear that they expect more, and we, as a bargaining committee and leadership, they're demanding that we do more, and they have said they're willing to fight for their lives, and that's really what this is about. So long-winded, but indeed your answer simply is yes.
Thank you. And as a follow-up, we've seen a great deal of labor unrest in the United States, the United Kingdom, in Ontario as well, of course. Do you see your current negotiations as part of a broader movement of labor unhappiness with the motivations and approaches of larger corporate employers?
Well, so there's a sort of a two-pronged answer there. So one, myself as the local president for 1944, my dedication is to be in service to those members. Absolutely. So that is what I was elected to do, and I serve them, unreservedly. Though it's fair to say that the public and our members, along with other folks, largely globally even, are feeling pressurized, left out of the conversation. They're made to feel invisible by corporations, and they just won't have it. And so while other countries and other employers, other unions have their own issues that are theirs, largely, I think the world is saying, we make your money, we make you wealthy, and it ought not come at the expense of our livelihoods. So I think there is certainly, you could certainly say that those themes are broadly out there. And for all of the reasons that are regularly reported, the rich getting richer and the poor getting poorer. So people are just done with that.
Xiaoli, I don't have any other questions, so if you do have another follow-up, by all means.
Not at this time. Thank you, though.
Okay, very good. Thank you very much. And again, thank you very much for everybody who has attended today. It's with gratitude that we say thank you.